very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folari. My guest this morning, well, one of them is Dr. Amadili Boyo. He's a public affairs analyst. And should I just remember that? Yeah, he's also a surgeon. But good morning and you're welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, good morning.
Great to have you. So many things we could talk about, things all over the place. We're always in news. And we've been on security because security, or shall we say the lack thereof, has been trending all week. So we've been on security for a while. Yesterday, part of the mix about the whole insecurity thing was that even the army that is primarily charged with rebuffing the Boko Haram insurgency came under criticism from their own chief. You know, the chief of army staff. And we mentioned that yesterday, just in passing. But by this morning, quite a number of people have felt, as we say locally, one how about the, chief of army staff's statement, Lieutenant General Buratai, including, as you might have seen in the papers this morning, the main opposition party, PDP, set up a Committee for the Defense of Human Rights and, all those kind of people. So let's spend a bit of time on that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Give me your thoughts, because the general, maybe by way of explaining why we haven't made as much progress as he would like, as maybe we would like, among other things, queried the commitment of his soldiers on the battleground. And there are those who say that, what's he doing? Why is he speaking like that? He's going to be demoralizing the troops. Give me your thoughts.
Yes, firstly, I would like to explain, when you see the Committee of Defense of Human Rights and Serap talking, there's no smoke without fire.
And PDP.
Well, PDP, there can be smoke without fire. When you see this civil civil bodies talking, there's always smoke with fire here. Because at the end of the day, commitment from soldiers is very dependent on so many other factors, and their pay, equipment, mobilization, the level of equipment they have vis-a-vis the type of battles they are going into. And we are talking here of logistics, supply, transports, and other chains that are involved in military command structure. And when you hear that soldiers are not committed, soldiers are very committed. In fact, they are one of the few people that we can say have already sworn to die for the country. And commitment is the first thing you learn, and patriotism is one of the things you learn. A soldier will not ordinarily be uncommitted, because if he's uncommitted, he's also been exposed to the line of fire and will likely be killed in the process. So to be in the military and not be committed, there must be something behind it. Like I said, no smoke without fire. Ideally, the military ought to look inward first and examine itself and its ways and go through what we call quality assurance. Find out why exactly are these things so. Coming to the public to tell us that they're not committed without examining whether they're demoralized, whether they are having good medical care, whether they're having good equipment, and whether they are properly mobilized for battle. Yeah, have they been paid their June salary, things like, May salary, and things like that. So we need to know, there's more to it than meets the eye, if I may put that. We need to know what the federal government, if you notice something, throughout this period of insecurity, there have been no high-powered commission of inquiry, for instance, into the root cause of the insecurity. Unlike in the 80s and the 90s, where you have Maitasine, there'll be high-powered judicial commission of inquiry where people are immediately prosecuted and a white paper comes out of that. After the report has been submitted to the presidency, a white paper is issued, and we now know the root cause of this. Up till date, it has been based on rumors and Fulani headsmen, remove the word Fulani, just headsmen, remove headsmen, just remove the... So at the end of the day, the soldiers, how much information do they have? Intelligence report do they have?
Well, I hear you, Amadili. I hear you.
Sorry to come here again. If you realize some years ago, there was a story of soldiers being plotted against by one of the retired chiefs that was said that they were ambushed, deliberately ambushed for the purpose of, there was like a mole within the army that set them up. There are many reasons why soldiers get very that make them lack commitment. These are the things I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. And I was going to say that, you know, yeah, the army works on behalf of the nation. So the army is actually working on our behalf. It's got our back, so to speak, or that's the way it should be. And it's a closed society. You know, they refer to us, going back to the military days, as bloody civilians, meaning what do they know about? So it's a sort of a closed society, even though they work for us. And therefore, why I said all of that is General Buratai and the soldiers, they're in the same constituency. Some of all the questions that you raised, he would know very much more about that. So allowing for the fact that here are just a couple of bloody civilians, you know, talking about this matter. We don't know. We don't really know. There's stuff that those people don't talk about. But for the avoidance of doubt, just to look at a short part of what he said yesterday, reading directly now, quote, "It is unfortunate, but the truth is that almost every setback the Nigerian Army has had in our operations in recent times can be traced to insufficient willingness to perform assigned tasks or simply insufficient commitment to a common national and military cause by those at the front lines."
Those are the front lines. Also, they should have added there, lack of trust. Trust is earned.
But this is
coming from
catastrophic.
Yeah, it's coming from
about an army,
not from Serap.
No. This is coming from the boss,
yeah,
the army boss
now,
himself.
If you look at it, he ought not to say that in the public. This is supposed to go to the Army Council. This is supposed to be what he should be discussing with the Army Council, discussing with the military command, discussing with the commander in chief. Because if this is the truth on the ground, there's need for a complete overhaul, including himself. Including himself, because at the end of the day, if you plant apples, you get apples. If you plant trust in the minds of soldiers, they can die for you. But you can't tell me mobilize, let's go somewhere, and there's maybe rumor mongering, there's ill feelings. I can't even believe that where we are going to, we are safe there. And I look at what they are giving me to go and fight with people. I see the opposition having higher firepower, more equipped and everything. And then don't forget, the terrorism war is different from the conventional warfare.
They would know that better than everybody.
Yeah, but then, they're not only properly equipped, they are highly motivated. Terrorists are highly motivated in various places, religiously. They know what they are going for. Some of them are taking oath, and some of them are. They are more motivated. Now, are we equally motivated? Patriotism is not enough. Singing war songs is not enough. Are we sending people to the war front? Highly motivated? Are they sure that the last batch that came back that were killed, have you paid their families for the necessary insurance and the necessary welfare packages for wives of the... Have you provided houses for them outside the barracks for them to move into?
But all of this would, I imagine, as a bloody civilian myself, all of this would fall under internal affairs, domestic affairs.
Yeah, but you see, if you own up...
Because a soldier is a soldier. I mean, around the world, he's not an ordinary chap. Yeah. He's wearing that uniform, and therefore becomes almost like Nigeria.
Yeah, but don't forget, sir, the soldiers are looking at us, depending on us at times to speak for them. Because there are some things, if you're in the force, you are wearing, even if you invite a serving general here, he cannot implicate his superior officer. I mean, there's a code of camaraderie and ranking and everything. Yeah. So at the end of the day,
the language is even different between the military and the civilians.
And even within the military, the officers will support the officers against the other ranks. So at the end of the day...
Well, to be fair, they do have court-martials, which would say that it's not as if you're a senior, you got it made for life. You still have to work within rules. Yeah. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any need for the court-martial.
Yes, but you see, if you have not equipped your soldiers properly, emotionally equipped and intellectually equipped, and let me tell you something, if you are in the infantry or you are in any of the various sections of the army, and you feel the intelligence, military intelligence, defense intelligence is weak, and you have gone 2-3 times, and they have finished you. If they send you, that's when you see the U.S. Army going to fight, and they are showing you capturing Bin Laden in that film. The strength of the military is in intelligence gathering. If you find out that even we ought to have had some military people now in Boko Haram as counterintelligence, giving us information that if you know you want to attack Bin Laden, 6 months, they tell you where he is, radars, satellite pictures, imagery, everything. You are so sure where you are going to. You have a helicopter that can go at night and can pinpoint a place strategically to 99.9% accuracy. You can land on the balcony of Bin Laden's house and nobody knows there. You have sent people that were doing immunization and they have collected DNA and they have assured you that Bin Laden is there. Why would I go there? But if you give me intelligence report the first time and all of us, the people that went there died, intelligence report for us to go to maybe Nguru, everybody died. Intelligence report for us to go to Dutse, everybody died. Then you now say we come and go to somewhere around Meduguri. So once intelligence report is suspect, soldiers begin to drag their feet. It's not money alone.
No, but we don't even know that. I understand. We don't forget that we are speaking as civilians. I'm just trying to put some margins around this stuff.
Support some of the things I'm saying. If we're speaking as civilians, there's common sense. And that's why people should not...
You see, but until we have a Nigerian Army general perhaps telling us, because a Nigerian Army general can probably tell us the lowdown, we will figure it out. Because, as you said, we're not done.
You have not taken into consideration what I said. To go to a battlefront like that of terrorism and Boko Haram and things like that, you will die if you are not committed. You will die. And not to be committed is
if you're not committed and supported.
Yeah, not be committed and supported, you will die. So an ordinary soldier will not go there and not be committed because the insurgents, they don't regard you, they kill.
Yeah, but we're going to have a problem.
They take no prisoners in most cases.
I know.
They raise down villages, they kill people. Now, if Buratai believes that these people are not committed, then court-martial them, get reports, and then let it come out with not just soldiers are not committed. It should be more than that. Tell us that soldiers are not committed and the following people have been court-martialed. The last people that went to this place was found out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're not able to tell us within the military circle, you know how many people have been dealt with.
Look, there's even a problem because, well, needless to say, it's in the papers. All sorts of groups have howled their protest, including Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, that's Sarah. We got, of course, we got the main opposition, PDP,
CDHR.
Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, the Igbo Social Cultural Group, or Haneze. They've also joined the fray. And then you go into some personalities, Tanko Yakatsai. All of these guys are saying that, wait a minute, Mr. President should just go ahead and fire not just General Buratai, but all the other service chiefs, because that is how they feel outraged. That you're talking about our boys in uniform here. And why it's important is that you are the chief of army staff, so you would know. And so what kind of an army do we have if the chief is saying that
men are not committed.
That all the that the Nigerian army, all the setbacks we've had in operations in recent times can be traced, which means that perhaps they did some sort of investigation, can be traced to insufficient willingness to perform assigned tasks, or simply insufficient commitment to a common national and military cause by those on the battlefield.
That in itself is self-indicting.
Yeah,
it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that in itself is self-indicting. Because at the end of the day, I give you a simple. Let's don't go up to the far north where the military seem to be combing the forest and things like that. Let's look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Let's look at Ibadan-Ife, where you have kidnappings going on. How much does the chief law officer, the chief security officer of the state, the governor, how much intelligence report is on the table of the governor every morning to tell him that, look, there are 2,500 Fulani camps, headsmen camps. Well, let them know Fulani if you want to do that. And say there are headsmen camps between Iseyin or at Bongon, or between Ife and Elisha, and that they have been picked up by satellite in the forest, and this is where they are. Intelligence gathering is more important than sending the army, sending anybody anywhere, because intelligence gathering is the bone of dealing with terrorists. If you can't even bust their communication network. They are communicating.
Are you saying our intelligence is not spot on, not what it should be?
I don't need to say it, Yori. What we'll be saying is that it's obvious from what we are saying, because if intelligence is, you remember sometimes you have alerts from various countries, don't travel to the following states in Nigeria. We should have alerts from intelligence that, look, as it is now, if Ibadan Expressway is unsafe from 5 to 7, we have noticed movements between, let me tell you, we have noticed movements of trucks. These things Nigeria has, claims to have a satellite in space. Do you know that it's possible to pick human movements in forests?
Sure.
In forests, human movements in forests. It's possible to pick human locations where about 50 people are gathered together with motorbikes and everything in the forest, and pick them up and target them and go there with what you call Air Force planes and pick up photographs of these people, and then send intelligence report that this will look suspicious. Well, you don't need to call them Fulani headsmen.
Because of how we relate to technology nowadays, I guess we're saying that a lot of us feel sincerely that there's precious very little that IT technology can't fix. So whereas it is true, but perhaps we not being hands-on acquainted with all this stuff, maybe we overstate.
You are not acquainted.
Maybe we overstated
No, we're not overstating. Do you know how, have you watched satellite imageries of how the Americans know where the Afghans are located? Okay. Look at Kandahar, all the mountains, everything is so well known the map of Nigeria. The map of Nigeria, we are just the size of Texas, for goodness sake.
You know what? Let's take a break. Let's take a break. The other guest this morning, he's been around for a while, but we were talking. So let's take a break. We'll be right back. And, well, actually, I shouldn't say good morning again. I said that already, but I meant that just in case you're just joining us. Welcome back for the rest of you. And we've since been joined by Mr. Adewale Adeoye. He's a journalist. In fact, he's a journalist for democratic rights. Thank you very much for coming on, Adewale.
Thank you.
And you know where we are. We're taking a quote-unquote bloody civilians look and perspective on the pronouncement of the Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, yesterday, not virtually, indicting his own soldiers, suggesting what sounds to us almost like an indisciplined ragtag kind of an army. If the Chief of Army Staff is going to say that they have not showed sufficient commitment on the battlefield. On the one hand, people were forever saying that we have a right to know. People should talk to us. They don't talk to us. Government doesn't talk to us. Now this man has spoken. What he said doesn't go down well with everybody. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think we have to analyze this statement critically. First of all, I think he made a factual statement. It's true.
He said so himself. He said it's unfortunate, but it's true.
So we need to commend him, at least for owning up to that reality. Then he's raising a fundamental issue about the whole structure of the Nigerian army. How do people get into the army? Are they going to the army out of nationalism? I want to defend my country. Or they are going to the army because they are just looking for a job. Or they are going to the army because they think it's a status symbol. They want to use it probably to oppress somebody who has offended them. Then the kind of training that people have in the army, is it based out of nationalism? Is it a kind of patriotic training? Then the motivation for the army, is it there? Are they well paid? What is the amount that are being paid? Do they have access to Medicare? Those that have died, were they given heroic burial? So we have to look at all this and think, for me, it has raised a challenge.
You know, so sorry to interrupt you, because some of the points that you raised in there, Ahmadli has made some of them, but some of the points that you raised in there, in answer to one of the questions, say, why do people join the army? Were they just looking for a job? We can ask the same of maybe, why is this lady or this gentleman, why is he trying to be a teacher? Is it that he just wanted a job and that was the only thing going? Or that he had a calling?
Out of conviction, out of inspiration.
Now, General Buratai said that he had determined that if it wasn't one thing, it was another, and one of the others was what he called simply insufficient commitment to a common national and military cause.
Yeah.
National
Yeah.
and military cause, which means there's a certain indoctrination aspect to having the honor to wear the uniform of the Nigerian army.
Sure.
There's an aspect to it.
Yeah.
And so if the man is now complaining that there's an insufficient commitment to common national and military causes, that's a problem right there.
It's a major problem.
It goes
And
back to what you said. So
you see,
how do people get into
it's
the
very
army?
easy
Which kind of people go
it's
into
very
the
easy
army?
to condemn, our soldiers. But what about politicians that steal billions of naira? Are they committed to the national ethos? What about medical doctors that decide to go and watch football when patients are dying? What about policemen that instead of going after armed robbers, they are sitting somewhere drinking?
Until you mentioned policemen, I was going to say that,
Yeah.
well, none of those ones are disciplined services.
Yeah,
but then you
so-
mentioned policemen, and somehow they do things differently. In fact, they call it regimented. Regimentation. That, look, when an order goes out, if it's a good order, you don't have a choice. You obey. That's not the way it is in a democratic setup. So these people are special, and they're doing something special.
Yeah, it tells you that the moral fabric of the country has collapsed.
Oh dear.
So in a new renaissance, it's not just about the soldiers, it's about all of us. If you're a big man, you have a big car, then you go one way. No, but you think that you're above the law. So it's all about, ethics. It's about national values. And I think what he has raised is calls for concern. It's easy to just ask him that, he should be sacked. But then he has raised a challenge that we all need to sit back and look at ourselves.
Okay.
And see this as a challenge that we need to tackle, as a country.
Or, Amadili, would we have rather, this is not really questioning you, but it's a sort of a rhetorical question, would we have that the general would have been quiet, and then we wouldn't be as disturbed as we are in our consciousness because he didn't say anything to flip us? He said something to flip us right now. And here we are saying, why did he say that? But would we have rather consciously have wanted him to maintain the peace, speak behind closed doors, don't let the whole public know that the boys are having this kind of a problem?
Yeah, he couldn't do that because if you read the first paragraph of that thing, he was trying to find a reason for the slow or insufficient victories that have been experienced in the front.
You're right. You're right.
And people on their own, in various individuals on their own, have also been worried about the level of victories in these places. There was a time that they said, oh, the war against Boko Haram had been won and finished, They will now find out that they're not in the northwest. If you look at today's papers, you won't find out that the government is now worried about seemingly quiet places like Kebbi, like Sokoto, we're not talking of cattle rustlers and things like that. So the army is facing so many battles, not just Niger Delta militants or Boko Haram, it's like everywhere now. So this man is aware, from all indications, that the civil society, don't forget, the army is subject to civilians. The chief of army staff will be a military person. The commander-in-chief, forget the fact that the present commander-in-chief is a former military general.
Yeah.
But the commander-in-chief in this country is the president. It doesn't have to be a military person.
No.
Civilians are supposed to be in charge of everything in this country.
Political authority.
Yes, so delegated authority is what the army is using, coming from the constitution. Now, people have been very wary about what has been described over the years as victory over the insurgents. So I'm sure the man, too, is trying to explain, it's not just our fault at the top echelon of the army. Our boys are not performing. And that's why I call it self-indicting. Yeah. Because if indeed your boys are not performing, there's a unit, totally dedicated unit in the military for indoctrination. The army doesn't just go out.
Whereas
the army doesn't just go out.
I'm feeling you, but the other speculation could be, could this be, because he's a general, a lieutenant general, so he knows what he's about. Could he, in a way, have been crying for help in terms of putting some fact, some actuality before the public? Because he knows...
But that's the wrong way, sir. Because in the first place, the Nigerian army...
Because
we just said
that, you just said that police, army often need civilians to speak for them because discipline doesn't allow them to say so many things.
In the first place, if you have ever followed up on deployment of Nigerian troops to United Nations peacekeeping forces all over the world, Nigerian troops have always been meritoriously, they've been commended.
That's right.
In the Congo,
same thing with police. Same thing with policemen.
In fact, they've been given medals.
Yes.
You see, and that's why I go back to what will make a soldier to lack commitment. Basically, is welfare and intelligence report. You can't send me to fight with AK to use cutlass to fight people with AK-47. I will not be committed. So, and if the intelligence report is poor, I give you examples. What is the intelligence report about Oke-Ogun area? What is the intelligence report about Bongon, Ife, Ibadan Expressway? How many headsmen and their company have been captured in the forest by satellite? For us to know that there are 200 camps in the forests in southwest being manned by headsmen who are set to, and that we know that they set up between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. How many? If we have all this, and we know where to get them, they're using motorcycles. Listen, sir, they're using motorcycles. Superior power is air power. If you know that Nigerian Air Force will pick you up where you are, and they're going to come down and they're going to shell you, you don't have to wait for them to go out.
Okay. We civilians are really enjoying ourselves, you know, getting into all these things because, as we said, they work for us. They work for Nigeria, and they work for our security.
We're talking from our own perspective.
And bloody civilians' perspective. Until we get someone who comes to say that, I've heard all you said, let me add some things that you didn't. Now, when he referred to insufficient commitment to a common national and military cause by those on the front lines, now, it's not just other soldiers or other ranks that are...
Is there a common national cause? Is there a common national cause?
Well, he's telling us that there is.
Yeah, in the curriculum, military curriculum.
He's telling us that there is.
About discipline, about efficiency.
Now,
that's not the cause. That's not the cause. That's not the cause. That's not the cause. That is what you are trained to be.
The word cause, the word cause, I'm reading as philosophy. I'm reading as mental attitude. I may be wrong.
That is amorphous. If you're going to have a common cause, for instance, now every American knows that the Soviet Union, China, North Korea are enemies of America. Are you getting me? When Iran was saying down with America, the Americans got annoyed. What is our common cause here? Do you know that there can be some soldiers in the army that are sympathetic to Boko Haram?
Now then you will know that this is what we're talking about.
That is
a common cause by for every soldier. I would imagine sitting where I'm sitting here outside. Every Nigerian soldier has to know that it's about the extermination of Boko Haram and no sympathy for anything contrary to that.
Yeah, but we've had reports where some soldiers were led into an ambush in Borno State some years ago, and they were killed. I'm sure you can remember.
There have been instances.
Yes, there have been instances. So the military has within itself, not only military intelligence, they have the military police. They can pick up internal saboteurs and deal with them with the process.
I hear you, but why would General Buratai put all of this out there if he wasn't maybe looking for help and maybe wanting to get a feedback? Miriam, good morning. Thank you for calling, ma'am.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
So I want to look at this from some of the characteristics of a good leader.
Okay.
Buratai being the leader of, the army.
Yes.
There are different ways you can motivate your followers. So talking about motivation, you can use, you can inspire, you can impel, and you can, when you impel is the use of force,
yes,
which is understandable when it has to do with military. When you inspire, you can, encourage, you can also motivate. The motivation here is almost at zero level. I understand that salaries are being paid, but the situation we have at hand right now in the country requires that the entire system should be holistically overhauled. When I say that, I mean from the point of political, our politicians have taken over all the sectors of this country, and it is not working in our favor. The recruitment of the military now is basically done by politicians. You see people talking about, I know people who go for recruitment exercises every year, and you hear that by the time they conclude this exercise and the list gets to Abuja, every House of Rep member has his list. Every senator has his list. Every political player has his list. It does not matter that these people they are bringing in do not have passion for this job.
Okay.
It does not matter that they are not qualified. It does not matter that they shouldn't be there. That is one. So now you recruit this set of people and you try to shape in their mindsets. It becomes a very difficult task. So we can look at that from that perspective. But then we can also now look at the motivation. Someone goes to the war front knowing that if anything happens, there is no health system in place to rescue you. Somebody very close to me, like I said yesterday, who was shot fighting insurgency. It took us months and months to be able to make connections to go to India for surgery. Should we not have all of this in place? Should we have to go to other countries? See, every sector has issues.
Yeah.
And when you put them together, it affects everything. It's a breakdown of the entire system.
Okay, thank you
There
very
has
much.
to be things put in place to motivate these people. Then we can now talk about, because if you're talking about discipline, it should be looked for in the military.
Yeah.
That's what I should have thought. Discipline starts from the military. People should emulate the military. So if they are coming to tell us that there's indiscipline, whoa,
Yeah,
I
that's
cry
a
my
problem.
heart out.
Thank
That's a
you.
good.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for calling in. And your baby was trying to add her own comment. Here's her own comment, too. Some of the things Miriam said reminds me of what Rotimi Amechi, the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Transport said recently in an interview that politics in Nigeria is not based on merit. I just remember that quote. And when Miriam was speaking, it just occurred to me. But she also said, she was speaking about leadership and how you relate and all of that kind of thing. And how you recruit and how you motivate. And I'm reminded that the president has said of his outgone ministers that you can be proud of yourselves. You guys did great. You guys, I'm very proud of you. Now, of course, every Nigerian had his own impression of those ministers, some of them, they would score, they would score them what they would score them. But there was the president, if he also had any such notion, saying that, you guys can be proud of you. All of you have performed marvelously, or words to that effect. Maybe that's the kind of thing that the Miriam was referring to, that, look, you get as leaders, they talk, and she didn't exactly say it, but I guess she was a bit cross at Buhari's statement. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to the House.
Thank you for calling in.
Uncle Yori, I tried to get you yesterday. I couldn't get through.
Okay.
The statement credited to the Chief of Army Staff, I have a sensing that he may have been misquoted. But be that as it may, there is no doubt that the military needs motivation. If you are working, you should get paid. The risks should be, reduced. If you ask me, I would say that every military personnel that goes to the war front should be insured for a certain amount. If anything happens to him, his family should not suffer on that account. So the Chief of Army Staff may have been expressing these things, but I don't think he needs to say it publicly, no matter how worried he is. The commander-in-chief is there. His colleagues are there. There are ways of, communicating without committing a strategic blunder.
Okay.
That is what it's amounting to now. But going back to what yesterday's topic that you brought, I am tasking the French Institute, Uncle Yori,
Yes.
that they should also compile a list or the amount of Nigerian stolen money that is in circulation in France, so that we know this whole.
They didn't do research on that.
They should also do research on that, which the French economy is not bothered about returning to us.
Okay, all right.
It is not enough to just be crying more than the berries in their reports without making suggestions as to how to go about it. Criminal things happen in France. The last one that happened, both American and European countries, everybody came to France, and they were standing firm with the French people, supporting them. They didn't come to be comparing how many people died and how the people should have been crying.
Oh, okay,
they
then,
were
Mr. George.
Solutions. We need solutions. If
All
you
right,
want
then.
to buy arms, these are the same people that will not give us arms, put all sorts of conditions. In England, for example, they are told,
Mr. George, Mr. George, this is yesterday's subject matter.
They have refused to
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your call. That second part, I understand. It was yesterday's matter and you couldn't get in. But your comments, received with appreciation. I was making the example of the president saying that, he no doubt illustrated one aspect of leadership qualities that Miriam had referred to. It's like being politically correct. There's such a thing as being politically correct, and perhaps this is where people feel that maybe General Buratai didn't speak the way we usually hear from top-level army folk, where they, I think it's an expression, it's a military expression, sort of open their own flanks. And my other worry is that we're told constantly that Boko Haram is not just this ragtag, illiterate kind of people. They also have access to the media. Yeah. So they are saying that this is what we think about our boys. We were ready to honor them. We were honoring them. We are so appreciative. But now the chief comes in and says that he's not happy about what's going on. And I was making the point earlier, I didn't know if I made it clearly enough, that it's not just regular soldiers on the ground. There are all sorts of officers as well. And I imagine that, borrowing from American films, I don't know how far it is true, the military high command, any operation, they are somewhere, and they know everything that's going on and are busy giving orders, that kind of a thing, if that is the way it works.
That's the way it works. Because at the end of the day, you find out that, like what Miriam said, and what he had also alluded to, backups include health. Backups include somebody gets shot in a battlefield.
You need to forget about your welfare. I know you can devote yourself totally.
How many minutes will it take for an air ambulance or a military helicopter to come to the middle of where the action is and pick up this person and take him to South Africa or take him to Lagos, and operation, a bullet is removed.
Maybe we're going to get a soldier call in, one of the...
sometimes
it will just be good to hear the perspective. For example, I have a Chief Agbemi in South Africa right now who wants to call in. I don't want to lose him. Did I lose him already? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chief Agbemi. Chief Agbemi, see if you can connect again.
Okay. Give an example, for instance, of a military guy who was injured and had to be taken to India. Yeah. She gave an example of that.
Yeah.
If indeed it is true that if you have any serious injury in the process of fighting the insurgents, and you can be moved immediately and you can be rescued. I mean, there are so many. So we say a lot of things in the U.S. and every part of the world where people don't even have any injury, but they're having post-traumatic stress disorder. They get back to America and they kill themselves from suicide just because they went to Iraq and Afghanistan. Being in the war front itself is already enough stress.
So you're saying basically that General Buratai shouldn't have said that?
No, I'm not saying he shouldn't have said that. I'm saying they ought to. I said at the beginning, right from the beginning of this process from Olusegun Obasanjo's time, we've not had a high commission of inquiry to look at the immediate and remote causes of these things and pick up people and then deal with them because it will be led by a judge. And over again, we've just been speculating, Boko Haram, El Zakzaki and everything. In those days, my Tassini, there was a high commission of inquiry.
Okay, let me take Aki in the UK. Good morning, Aki. What do you, as a civilian, think about what we're talking about?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to our guest in the studio.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning. Aki, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think?
I just want to chip in one or two things concerning the topic of today.
Go ahead, please.
And it's based on the what they call it, the admittance process into the military. That also can be said of the chief, understanding, because if you remember when he was in, President Buhari said he knows him, but he was based on recommendation.
Unfortunately, Akin, your line is not the
So
best.
basically,
Quite unusually, your line is not the best, Akin. We're hearing you, but with difficulty. Please, see if you can. Okay. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. We'll come back. We'll continue with your calls and in-studio commentary as well. Okay, welcome back. And we're spending time looking at it from a non-military perspective. We don't know why the Chief of Army Staff, from our civilian perspective, would have said something that all the civil society groups that have complained about it, SERAP has complained about it, CDHR has complained about it, Ohanese has complained about it, the opposition party, PDP has complained about it, that why did the general speak the way he spoke? There's the danger of demoralizing the troops. The troops will read it, and so the troops don't need to wait for their own annual assessment or annual report. They got it now, and I don't know. So we're looking at that, and I'd ask the question: Should General Buratai have been politically correct and not have said anything? And well, he said, no, that's not exactly what he's saying. But then, so why are we getting hot under the collar about it? Why?
It took him 4 years to say this. So we never can tell, probably more than 4 years, before he became the chief of Army Staff. He has been following the old trend. So coming out after several years, he may be born out of frustration.
Okay, let me take Garba in MAKURDI. Good morning, Garba.
Good morning, Okuyori.
Thank you for calling in, sir. Yes.
I have been trying to get to see last month. Honestly, I couldn't get to, but today, thank God I've gotten you.
Thank you. Thank God.
You see, Okuyori, yesterday I was listening to watching one of your programs. Your famous was my general hangout. A retired army general called, and he made a vital information there that we have to look towards it. Our elite in our society, our elite and their associates in the army, they are the cause of all this. You mentioned my statement there. That I look at it and wish for this country, and which is true. You see, when it comes to recruitment, NGA, he said previous years, like 30 years ago, was done based on merit. But now if you go from general to lieutenant that they are there, he said go and check out and see. They are the children of the elite and their associates. You understand how you expect to give somebody that will command those soldiers, foot soldiers, the regular courses, commanding them, he don't have passion for the work. He's just there because of the prestige of the work. The elite will carry their son and their children to the NDA. Make sure they wait, they run the exam, they do the training and do everything. When promotion comes, they will stand for it. So what do you expect? I'm telling you, we're in serious mess. And listen to them and wait for Nigeria. And that's what is going on. And check out any journals that you see. He's challenging them to come out and say this. Either they are the associate of our elite or the army officers. So what you can say, he said the right thing. He cannot come and meet them and confront them. Maybe he is the product of merit. But the others, they are subordinate to him. They are not the product of merit.
Yeah.
And he cannot dare touch them. Let's be honest to ourselves. That man is being naive. Most of the children are being observed. They cannot come out and say it out publicly. But don't know what's going on. I'm telling you now, I can cite an example. I'm not more than 30 years now. When we are young, Opiori, if they want to give us injection, if they want us not to cry, they will say, you don't want to be an army. And we stand strong. And check out children now.
Yes.
Even nowadays, your children kids.
Yes.
Don't you ask them, which was yours? I want to become a soldier. Because of what? The prestige of the work. They have the passion of the work.
Yeah.
But nowadays, they will carry those ones that they are pampered. They were in AC.
I hear you.
Bring them from UK. They bring school from UK. Give them the work because of the prestige of the work. I'm telling you, okay, I wish for Nigeria when time I was saying it. I know that was happening in my environment. I know some of my mates. They are far now. We went together. I tried. I didn't get. but they are somewhere because of their parents. Have a nice day in Lagos.
Thank you very much for calling in, Garba. He's brought in a different perspective. And why we can't say that, I mean, everywhere around the world. You remember when the scandal broke in the U.S. about people using their status, the celebrity, to get their kids into, was it Yale? Was it Yale or Harvard?
SAT scores?
Yeah, yes, Ivy League universities, how they will work it. Oh, there you go. That's the first world. That's America right there. It became a scandal. Now, he is saying something similar, that you have situations where the elite in the society use their connections. They want the bragging rights of my son is a military officer, whatever, my daughter is a military officer. They get their kids into NDA. And the implication from what he's saying is that those might not, oftentimes parents want their kids to be doctors when they don't want to be doctors. Sure. They want their kids to be lawyers when they don't want to be lawyers. They want their kids to be soldiers when they don't want to be soldiers. So what if the guy is just bending neck and is going in there because he can't do it? The implication is that troops under him, because he's going to arrive as an officer, are quickly going to smell that he ain't nothing.
Yeah.
But discipline
Don't forget,
prevents
at the end of the day, you as a general, you also know the father of this boy was your boss.
Yes.
About 10, 15 years ago. And if you do anything, his father puts a call through to you.
Or you say this guy is not
and
competent.
say, oh, I heard that you want to deal with my son. I'm going to get you. So at the end of it, and it's not just the army. NMPC, if you work in NMPC, your son will likely get there. If you went to UI, your son, and you are a professor in UI, your son will likely get university discretion for admission.
Yes.
If you are working with FAN, your son will get there. At the end of the day, if it's done at the expense of merit, that's why
then all bets are off. One moment, please. Jude in Minna. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. You see, the issue of the Chief of Army Staff that comment he make, you will not blame him. Because the military itself did not recruit people who have passion for the job.
That is it. That's true.
You see, the issue of the military is something that is very paramount. The military needs to recruit people who have passion for the job. When you are not recruiting people who have passion for the job, of course it will affect them.
Sure.
Maybe
because a lot of them are just there.
Maybe the same thing.
A lot of them are just there, just to get their personal, just to get a daily income, because there is no job, and that is why they can hide their head and they get it through a connection. But you have a lot of people who have the zeal, they have the passion to do this job, but they are not getting it.
Okay.
And the military, I don't know why the military we keep exposing their secrets. You are fighting a terrorist, and instead of you to keep your intelligence information to yourself, you come to the public and to the media and blow it to the air. And your terrorists, the enemies you are fighting, they have information at the tip of their fingers. So I think the military needs to sit up. I don't know. The Chief of Staff's statement is absolutely wrong, because I'm not expecting him to come publicly to say your military men they are not being faithful to the job. It means the terrorists can use this as an opportunity to still strike them. Thank you very much, sir.
Indeed, thank you very much, Jude. Most Nigerians, if not every Nigerian, they're proud of their army. We're proud of the Nigerian army. Those guys we would refer to them lovingly as our boys in uniform. But here is a situation where we're being told that there are problems. There are problems, and this is not hearsay. The Oga is the person who is commenting. Maybe that's why everybody, CDHR, not to mention PDP, not to SERAP, maybe that's why all these guys are taking it like this. It's like...
That's why we are even taking it like this.
That's why we're even taking it like this. It's like you burst our bubble.
Yes.
You burst our bubble. We want to think of them as valiant. We want to think of them as all conquering, And these guys stand gidigba. But
we should understand what some of these human rights people are saying. They are also putting the blame on the Chief of Staff. Because motivation, you are responsible for that motivation. Adequate payment of salaries, you are responsible. Access to even training. When you recruit people that are not they are not based on merit. So it's a self-indictment. We can't take away that.
People, some of the critics have called for the removal of Buratai and all the service chiefs, and that we need to try something different.
And also check our recruitment process.
And some also check our recruitment process.
A certain IG went to a certain state and found out that the policeman could not spell his name, if you remember very well. You know?
I think on that note, let's end because well, we've run out of time anyway. So before you cause much more dismay. But the point is a very important one, and it is well taken. Thank you very much, Dr. Amadili Boyo, and also Mr. Adewale Adeoye. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing your perspectives. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition of our conversations. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.